Hi, I'm Heather from Here Booktubes, and today is LGBTQIA Romance Recommendations. I honestly need to read more of these. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to be upfront and honest. I need to read more. I do sometimes struggle to get good recommendations for it because I'm looking for own voices authors, even though I feel like that can be a problem because it shouldn't be forced on authors to proclaim their sexual identity before they are ready, or to the public at all if they don't want to, just in order to be able to write their stories. I try to be aware of that. I do often hear both from authors and readers who are gay men saying that they have a huge problem with the fetishization of male-male romances by female authors for female readers for all intents and purposes. And so I try to avoid that. I think that that can definitely happen, and I think that's something that the community as a whole, as readers, should be aware of and try to kind of keep in check. I have a variety. My first one is Deal with the Demon by Chace Verity. Chace Verity says that they write queer characters, queer stories in all of their books. Something that I really enjoy about their work is that multiple of the characters will be queer and it won't just be the main character or just the side character. I think that's really well done. This is actually the only one that I read by them, even though in between me filming and you seeing this video, I will have read another and I'll have reread this, but so this is a novella and it's about a demon house husband. So the main character is a single mom of 2 teenagers and she is overwhelmed and needs help. She ends up getting a success, and the success is that she gets this demon and he'll do whatever she wants for 28 days. And she is like, well, could you watch my kids at night so I could get this night job so that I could get enough money to do these things that are needed? And so that's what he does, and he feeds and cleans and takes care of her children and her, and they really fall for each other. It's so sweet. So the demon kind of identifies as non-binary because he is not a human. He's like, well, this doesn't really fit, but you can go with this if you want. And the main character is bi, and there are other also queer characters, but I really adored it. It was so sweet. It was so just adorable, and kind of the way she gets trapped into the demon is hilarious. It's so relatable. I'm really looking forward to reading more by this author. The next one is a booktube darling, and honestly should come as no surprise if you've watched booktube at all, and that is The House on the Cerulean C by Klune. He is an own voices author and he writes men loving men romance. This one is so sweet. It's like a hug. It's just whimsical. His writing is beautiful. And he also drops so many nuggets of wisdom in this book that I just adored. So our main character is a middle-aged man who is an inspector of orphanages for paranormal children. So the children are kind of feared and ostracized, and they have these magical powers, and society as a whole views them as other and something to be wary of. Something that I liked in this book as well, the magical abilities are the source of prejudice. All of the queer relationships in the book are just accepted as facts, so I really enjoyed that. So he ends up getting tasked by extremely upper management to go and check out the orphanage home for the most dangerous paranormal children, and they specifically want information on the caretaker of the home. He's very rule-abiding. He and his cat go out there. It's so cute. He's like out of shape, and he's just like so stoic and prim and just rule abiding. And then he goes to this home, and the children, of course, act like children do. Something that I loved about this is that even though each child is a different species and they're all their own unique paranormal, the way that they act, you can see kids acting like that. I have 3 kids. Let me tell you, these kids are some of the most realistic children I have read about in a book, and they're all different species, and he still pulled that off. So I was really impressed with that, and it's so sweet, and they have a romance, and it's so freaking adorable. It has been described as middle grade for adults, so there isn't any explicit content in this. You could actually read it out loud to your kids, no problem, and it was just sweet. It was sweet and poignant, and it really made it presented things in a way where it was clear how it could apply to our life into our world and society without it being about the exact same issues, and I just adored his writing. He also has Wolf Song, which is a werewolf kind of Twilight, gay werewolf adult retelling romance, but I won't be reading it because I hear that everybody who reads it like sobs, is like so heartbroken, and I can't do it, but I hear that is absolutely fantastic. I don't know anybody who's read it who hasn't absolutely adored it. I just don't want to cry like that, so. Then they have Sacrifice by Katee Robert. Katee Robert specifically says her books are queer, and they're all queer, and that is on brand for her. And this one is a vampire. It's not reverse harem, it really is more polyamorous. So there are 3 male vampires and there's a female dampire, which is a half vampire, and 3 male vampires are pure-blooded and they are very, very powerful. She is supposed to have magic because she is a dampire, but she doesn't. Because of that, her abusive father sends her to be a sacrifice to the vampire that he has locked up in this house. Now this vampire has not had a meal in years and years and years, and so he does kind of violently attack her at the beginning. All of the vampires are violent, and while he cares about consent more than any other vampire that she has known, vampires still aren't real big on it. They don't particularly care. So all 3 of the male vampires actually have romantic history between them. 2 are still on good terms and 1 is not. I really enjoy this because not only do you have vampires trying to save the world via sex, which is a plot I can get behind, but also all 4 people in the relationship, you can split any of them up into 2 and they'll be fine, and they can go and have their own relationship, if you will. So it truly is polyamorous. Everybody's into everybody else. It's a little bit more of a dark romance, and so it does have content warnings. Like I said, abusive father and also violence. Her father sends her on purpose so that she will either be killed, and he doesn't care about that, or the vampire will impregnate her and then he will take the child, kill her, and have control over the powerful vampire father because he has this kid. So that's kind of the plan. If that sounds too dark to you, then maybe skip, but fantastic. Then I have Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which is Brown Sisters #2 by Talia Hibbert. Dani Brown is a witch, and she is bi, and she is a professor, and she's also very closed off to love. She is not looking for a relationship of any sort. She enjoys sex and she enjoys her friends, but she does not want to escalate feelings, and so she tends to break up with people if those feelings are happening. Zaf is a diehard romantic. He is a cinnamon roll. He is a rugby player and he has anxiety issues, is the security guard at her building on campus, and when a fire drill goes wrong, he ends up rescuing her and they go viral. He has a charity that he's really not doing any marketing for, and his family is like, hey, if you pretend to date her, then the charity could do better and you could help more people. And so they fake date. It's super duper cute. Very entertaining, very funny. I loved it. I liked that we got to see the woman that she was in a relationship with before actually shows up on page, and I liked that she kind of worked through her issues with her. And I love Talia Hibbert's writing. I really do. She is very entertaining. She's just a really good writer. Her writing is whimsical and funny and thought-provoking and entertaining, and the pacing is good, and you care for her characters and you're also entertained by them. Then I have Regally Bitten, which is Blood Alliance #3 by Lexi C. Foss. So this is the 3rd book in a series, but it is the first book about the werewolves or the lichen, and so you definitely can start at this spot if you want. This is a dark paranormal romance series, and it is kind of dystopian in the sense that the rule and reign of humans ended over 100 years ago when the paranormals decided that there was no reason for them to be hiding, and they seized control because they were more powerful. Since that time, humans have had no rights, so they are blood and food, and that's it. They exist because the supernaturals need food. They are the food source. If they kill all the humans, then they won't be able to eat. And that is the only reason why humans continue to exist. The humans have all been taught that it has always been this way, that the supernaturals have always been in charge, and that having no rights is the way of the world. This is often reinforced not only by the societal structure that they live under, but also the enhanced speed and strength and senses of the supernaturals and absolute violence that they will inflict with no prior warning. So the supernaturals do not value human life in any sense. However, if you belong to another supernatural, the other supernaturals cannot inflict violence on you without having to pay a price for it. And obviously that price would be paid to your owner. So it doesn't really help you if you're dead, but belonging to one of the supernaturals can afford a certain amount of protection from random other supernaturals, if that makes sense. Well, the humans are helped to keep in place because there is a competition, and the competition is for the Immortal Cup. They take turns, so one year the winner will be turned into a vampire, and another year the winner will be turned into a lichen. This year the winner is turned into a lichen. We do see him in the second book. He's friends with the main character from that book, but you absolutely can read it as a standalone. So he is a human turned lichen, and he's like, I beat out all of humanity to become immortal. I'm not going to just be some stupid little foot soldier. He wants power. We have the male alpha werewolf who is trying to make a better life for his people but has to play by the rules. And we had the female alpha werewolf who has no rights because she is a female and has been given in marriage to the male alpha werewolf even though she doesn't want to be. And it is a throuple, and it is fascinating. It's very interesting because a lot of times they have to do really terrible things even to each other, but the other option is death. And so, like, what do you do when all of society makes you behave a certain way, when you don't believe that that way is right, but literally you're sentencing your loved ones to death if you do not play by the rules? And it's very interesting and brutal and bloody and sexy and smutty, and there's a plot, and it's just my favorite paranormal series. Is unbelievably good. Highly recommend. Lastly, I have The Queen's Line by Kathryn Moon. This is a reverse harem series, and it is a fantasy romance series. And something that I really like about this is that she is demisexual. So the main character is the princess, and the ruling females of the country have a sex magic. They literally get their power from having sex, and that in turn creates prosperity within the kingdom. So because of this, they have a harem of men to keep them satisfied because their magic is called the hunger. They're basically insatiable. In turn, prosperity. Well, our main character doesn't have the hunger. She does not feel the desire for men, and she thinks that she's broken. She's the crown princess, and her sister would make a terrible ruler, so she's trying. And it's time for her to choose her men, and she does, but she still doesn't feel the hunger. And her grandmother finds out, and so she ends up going north to try and hide the fact that she doesn't have the hunger, try to figure it out, and also get to know her newly chosen men. In the group of men, there are two male lovers who are trying to be able to stay together. One is a prince and one is a diplomat, and if they are both in her chosen, then maybe they can stay together. There are also shifters who are not given rights in this country, and as she travels north, she realizes that the political state that she's been taught her whole life is not really the reality of the country, and so she is trying to improve her country and get to know her men and handle her magic, which she thinks doesn't exist. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I liked all of the different guys, and I also liked the main character. I thought that was a very interesting balance between plot and political machinations and court intrigue. Is that how you say those words? Nobody knows. And also the relationship stuff and the sexy time. So I really enjoyed it. I liked how not everybody operated the same way, and that they were all able to find happiness together, and it was cute. Yeah, it was just really cute and bloody and court politics and stuff, but a very fun time. So that's it. Those are my recommendations. If you have authors to recommend and or specific books, please put them in the comments. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.